大家好。
Welcome, good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference on budget initiatives under the Education Bureau and the Labor and Welfare Bureau. We have with us Mr. Chris Sun, Secretary for Labor and Welfare, and Dr. Choi, Secretary for Education. They will deliver opening speeches before taking questions from the floor. Mr. Sun?
OK 啦，好。
All right. Let's have a photo call first.
OK。
Ready? All right, let's hear from Mr. Chris Sun. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to spend some time taking you through the budget initiatives 2026 to 27 under the Labor and Welfare Bureau. I'm going to touch upon measures in relation to labor and welfare. First of all, we need to build a caring and inclusive society. It is important that we show our care for the elderly. There are two schemes using the principle of money following the user. We have already increased the number of beneficiaries. First of all, for the residential care service vouchers for the elderly, we are going to increase the number by 1,000, bringing the total to 7,000 in the coming financial year. As for elderly people receiving services in society, that is the Community Care Service Voucher Scheme for the elderly, in the next financial year, the number will increase to 16,000. We will also think how we can mobilize market forces. We want to improve service capacity overall. In communities with more middle-class families, the government has already implemented some measures. There are daycare centers, and we can mobilize market forces. The first testing point is Lohas Park in Changkwon-no. We are going to see if we can use market forces in this area. For elderly people in Hong Kong, they can choose to retire in Hong Kong. Apart from that, they can also choose to retire in the Chinese mainland, especially for those who are weaker and who meet the requirement to stay at residential care homes. They can choose to enroll in the residential care service scheme in Guangdong. At present, there are a total of 26 care homes covered under this scheme, covering all 9 mainland cities in the GBA. Then they can enjoy subsidized services in full in the GBA. Since the end of December last year, apart from the care homes in the GBA, we have a pilot scheme on medical subsidy under the scheme. For the elderly people who have joined the Guangdong scheme, if they see a doctor in the Chinese mainland, usually they can apply for a resident permit. And in 8 cities out of a total of 9 cities, they can take out medical insurance. They need to pay a co-payment fee. And we are going to provide subsidies of at most 10,000 for outpatient services. As for inpatient services, they can get $30,000. For those enrolling in the Guangdong scheme and the Fujian scheme, they may be recipients of the CSSA, OALA, and so on. and they can choose to have the payments remitted directly into their designated mainland bank accounts. We mainly want to provide convenience to elderly people. This is what we can do to help elderly people in Hong Kong. The Financial Secretary said in his budget speech on Wednesday that for recipients of the CSSA, OALA disability allowance as well as the Working Family Allowance Scheme, there will be a one-off extra payment to these recipients. This is indeed music to the ears of those receiving these allowances. In addition, we will also increase the number of day, residential, and preschool rehabilitation service places by about 450. After giving birth to children, parents place emphasis on care for their children. Hence, the demand for aided standalone childcare center is quite high. At present, we have over 1,530 places in these aided standalone childcare centers, and we are going to add an additional 15 centers. There will be an additional quota of 1,500. In other words, 3 to 4 years later, the total quota will reach 3,000. That is about a double. We hope the supply can meet the demand in the community. I'd like to talk about one important scheme, that is in the on-site preschool rehabilitation services. At the stage of kindergarten, appropriate services are provided to these kindergarten children. After these children graduate from kindergarten, some parents asked whether we could provide assistance as these children proceed to primary schools. When K3 students graduate from kindergarten and move on to primary 1, we provide a service that is a bridging and support service starting from this school year for target children receiving the OPRS. We want to help these children to settle into the life in primary schools. We believe this is hugely beneficial for these children. We expect that the extra expenditure is about $260 million. Regarding talent and manpower, we will continue to attract global talent to Hong Kong through different talent admission schemes. We want to develop Hong Kong into a hub of high-caliber international talent. Within this year, we are going to introduce legislative amendments to the Legislative Council. One, we need to enhance the function of the Employees Returning Board. The direction of the ERB is skills-based training, and we are going to rename the ERB to Upskill Hong Kong. Looking ahead, the Upskill Hong Kong, that is the existing ERB, will cover different AI application courses. We aim to provide support for local workers. We want to help them upskill themselves so that they can meet the demand and challenges in the workplace in the future. In addition, targeting people aged 50 or above, we have added 2 more training courses. Next, when it comes to the Hong Kong Talent Engage, they will continue to strengthen efforts in attracting global talent. We will also enlarge our partner circle. We want to make good use of these talent admission schemes to attract more talent to Hong Kong. In the week starting the 18th and the 19th, we are going to hold the World Talent Summit. Throughout the entire week, there will be a wide array of events. Our aim is to develop Hong Kong into a hub of high-caliber talent. This is pretty much my introduction to the labor and welfare initiatives. Thank you.
Dr. Chai. Fellow citizens and media friends, good afternoon. Education is key to cultivating talent. To the rapid development of the nation's education sector, Hong Kong's education is also embarking on a crucial development course, and we are committed to building an international education hub, gathering talent and resources, and strengthen our international academic influence. We will deepen digital education transformation to reshape teaching landscape through technology. We will equip the younger generation to embrace the opportunities brought by the AI era. I will now focus on the key initiatives in the education sector in the 2026-27 fiscal year. In building an international education hub, Hong Kong's higher education institutions have achieved outstanding international rankings, and the high-quality research environment have gained widespread recognition. This showcases the strengths of Hong Kong's higher education and reflects the government's long-term commitment to investing in education and the effectiveness of various measures to enhance education competitiveness. We are currently holding our first Study in Hong Kong week through API Conference and Exhibition and the International Symposium of the Alliance of Universities of Appliances. We are promoting our education strengths in a comprehensive way and share our advantages with guests from all over the world. We promote Hong Kong's education sector's advantages and the Study in Hong Kong and Study Tours in Hong Kong brands. We'll make use of the Task Force on Study in Hong Kong mechanism, and we work in conjunction with ETOs to strengthen collaboration with them to go different countries, conducting targeted activities to promote Hong Kong's rich academic research and international cooperation resources. The UGC has already earmarked $40 million in the 3 years, 2025 to 28, for the 8 UGC-funded institutions to promote the Study in Hong Kong brand. The Northern Metropolis University Town provides opportunities for capacity expansion and improvement of quality of our higher education, and help Hong Kong to scale new heights in our academic research work. To further accelerate the development of the university town, the government in the short term will roll out 3 sites in Hong Shou Kiew, Harchin, NDAs for campus development of UGC-funded institutions and universities of applied sciences for campus development. We will also earmark $10 billion for providing loans for campus development. We are also committed to shaping the education landscape through digitalization in the age of AI era and develop new advantages in line with the nation's strategy of invigorating the country through science and technology and promoting innovation. And we target to establish Hong Kong as an international innovation hub. Hong Kong, as our government, will promote integrated development of education, technology, and talent. And the EDB has also intensified efforts to promote digital education. In the 3 academic years, starting 2025-26, UGC-funded institutions will provide an additional 27 undergraduate programs related to STEAM, covering AI, creative industries, and data science, creating opportunities for young people to exploit their advantages, and interdisciplinary courses will be offered to combine technology and traditional sectors to cultivate talents with diversified skills. As for self-financing institutions, starting the 2027-28 academic year, priority will be given for AI program to be included in the study subsidy scheme for designated professions and sectors. We encourage the institutions to offer such programs to cultivate the INT talents. We also support the VTC to include AI application in compulsory modules on IT in all of its higher ed diploma programs to ensure that their talents can meet with the future changing needs. As for primary and secondary education, $2 billion has been set aside under the QEF to enhance curriculum, strengthen teacher training, optimize digital education infrastructure, and provide resources for schools, of which $500 million starting from 2025 and 26 that will be used for the 3-year AI for empowering learning and teaching funding program starting 2025-26. Each successful applicant will be granted a one-off grant of $500,000 to acquire infrastructure and tools to incorporate AI in their teaching and learning curriculum. School-based AI education will also be offered up to the 25th of February. We have already received applications from 960 schools, accounting for 99% of all government-subsidized schools. This shows schools are very positive in response to embarking on AI education, to plan and implement to enhance the professional capacity of schools to plan and implement digital education 27, 25, and 26. A series of AI training programs will be offered, including AI literacy, AI plus subjects and leadership, and AI-empowered smart teaching, school leadership, and AI literacy for teachers. A total of 40,000 places will be offered. So all teachers in government-subsidized schools will be able to participate, and their professional capacity will be enhanced. We aim to achieve an AI for all subjects target. We will continue to upgrade and enhance teaching quality. We will care about the physical and mental health of students. We will regularize the 3-tier school-based emergency mechanism in secondary schools that will be extended to primary 4 to 6 on a trial basis. We will also continue to promote mental health on campus through the 4RS Mental Health Charter. We will also attach importance to the generic skills of students, including language skills and capacity to have cross-cultural exchanges. We will consolidate our advantages in biliteracy and trilingualism to enhance our competitiveness. We will also recruit language ambassadors, and the EDB will also be constructing the English self-learning programs, incorporating AI elements. We will be innovative in our strategies. We will enrich the students' English learning capabilities and enhance their English capability. In all, we are committed to investing in education as a way to invest in the future. We will drive the high-quality development of education. We would exploit our advantages, gather resources and talents, and we will use technologies to empower ourselves. We will equip our younger generations so that they can embrace the future and contribute to the development of the nation in Hong Kong.
Thank you. The floor is open for questions. Please identify yourself when you're called upon. You're limited to 2 questions. Thank you. The one in the middle row. Thank you. I'm from Ming Pao. I'd like to ask Dr. Choi regarding education expenses. There's an increase in the expenditure on education, but education expenses are on a decline. It is a record low in 2 decades. I'd like to ask why. Regarding kindergarten subsidies, 2 subsidies in relation to kindergartens have been scrapped. The resources for kindergartens have been tight. What about the demand for substitute teachers? Schools will be under a lot of pressure and burden if subsidies are further going to be cut. What is your response? Regarding the university town, the loan is about $10 billion. What is the quota for each school? When will schools have to repay the loan? University of Applied Sciences can make an application. What about self-financing schools? Have you looked at the situation? Well, thank you. Dr. Choi, thank you. Regarding your first question, that is education expenses, there's a drop in its ratio to the overall government expenditure. Since reunification, education responses have been on the increase. That is what we can see from the actual figures. there's indeed growth. But we have to understand that there are obvious changes to the population structure in Hong Kong. The birth rate is going down rapidly. That's why the overall student population is dropping. That is what we can see. Therefore, alongside the population changes, structural decline, and school-age population structural decline, indeed, what we can see is that in relation to education, comparing with other areas such as aging population, healthcare expenditure, it seems that education expenditure is decreasing. But in fact, the government has not deducted any investment in local education. With population structure changes, we can see the most significant drop in the kindergarten population. As for higher secondary or post-secondary education, we can see an increase in the number of students in this regard. Therefore, we are making flexible use of our resources. Regarding the 2 subsidies for kindergartens, the government has the goal of implementing a cut of 2% across all bureaus, but then for kindergartens, our subsidies remain unchanged. We have considered the fact that kindergartens bear the brunt against a backdrop of a declining population. We indeed understand that they are undergoing challenges. 2 subsidies in total are to be scrapped. That is, one for kindergarten activities and the other for hiring substitute teachers. Therefore, when it comes to optimizing resources and streamlining administrative procedures, we have a task force to see how we can make better use of public funds when it comes to kindergartens, primary schools, and secondary schools. Our goal is that we need to remove barriers, make flexible use of resources, and we also need to enhance efficiency. At the same time, we need to make good use of public funds. These are the principles we go by. And you have noticed there are about a dozen subsidies for kindergartens. Kindergartens vary in sizes. The environments are flexible. They vary from one to another. That's why, with the development of AI, students have different learning experience in kindergartens. And we are going to see the commissioning of the Student Activity Center for kindergartens as well. These are the factors we have taken into account. Scrapping the above-mentioned 2 subsidies will have the least impact on the quality of teaching and learning for kindergartens. What about the burden on hiring substitute teachers? In fact, we have another mechanism whereby kindergartens can make an application for fee reimbursement. If teachers need to undergo training and if there is a demand for hiring substitute teachers, kindergartens can make an application for reimbursing the funds. This is a measure to help kindergarten. Therefore, kindergarten teachers will not lack professional training opportunities because of the fact that the substitute teacher subsidy has been scrapped. Regarding the $10 billion fund of the Northern Metropolis development, we have been liaising with different stakeholders. There are applied sciences, and there is also the traditional stream of academic studies. So whether it be traditional universities or University of Applied Sciences, all of them are included in the development of the Northern Metropolis. Regarding the development direction, we have been holding briefing sessions with different educational institutions. We have already received their expression of interest. We have already collated their views. That's why In planning our way forward, including our loan plans, we have already taken into account the preliminary proposals and thoughts of the institutions. We will try our best to dovetail with the plan to fast-track the development of the Northern Metropolis. For the $10 billion of loan application, we're going to walk schools through the relevant details. Thank you. The one in the last row, the one in gray. Secretary, good afternoon. I'm from TMHK. I have 3 questions. First, education expenses hit a bottom low in 2 decades. Are you worried that people will think that you are attaching much importance to developing higher education at the expense of kindergarten, secondary, and primary schools? Can you tell us why you have to scrap 2 subsidies targeting kindergartens? Are you worried that there will be less space for kindergartens to operate in Hong Kong? Just now you mentioned that 3 parcels of land in the Northern Metropolis will be set aside for the university town. Will they be 3 different educational institutions, or 1 educational institution can apply for more than 1 parcel of land? Secretary, thank you. As I mentioned, we have population changes in Hong Kong. Healthcare, social welfare, there are different adjustments in these areas. If you take a closer look at the actual situation, for the average cost of secondary, primary, and kindergarten student, the cost is actually increasing. For primary school students, on average, the cost has gone up by 8% or so. Going back to education quality, the ratio between teachers and students is 1 to 11.6 and 1 to 11.8 for secondary schools and primary schools respectively. For kindergarten, the ratio stands at 1 to 11. We can see that for these ratios, there's been an increase. We are keeping this ratio. For the expenses of secondary schools, they have taken the lion's share of our education expenses, whereas for higher secondary education, or for higher education, they rank second. With the rapid development of higher education in Hong Kong, together with the needs for talent in Hong Kong, we have different courses, that is vocational education, university, applied sciences and so on. We have seen an increase in these areas. That also covers the study subsidy scheme for designated professions and sectors. We need to rise to the challenges in this era. We need to dovetail with Hong Kong's direction to be developed into 8 major centers. We place a strong emphasis on the diversified pathways for students in Hong Kong. That's why not only do we improve quality of education, but we also act according to the changes of the population. We move with the times. As I mentioned, the 2 subsidies targeting kindergartens will be adjusted. If we take a look at the expenditure for kindergartens, and if we need to improve the schemes, probably we will have to make a deduction. That is a way to respond to the government's policy to enhance productivity. We need to adopt an approach that has the least impact on the operation of kindergartens. Actually, there are replacements for the scrapped subsidies targeting kindergartens, as I mentioned, comparing with primary, secondary schools and universities. The decrease of 2% for these areas, whereas for kindergartens, the decrease is lower. The two subsidies totaled $40 million, whereas for the total expenditure for kindergartens, the figure totals $60 million, and we have already taken into account the challenges facing kindergartens. As for the 3 parcels of land in the Northern Metropolis, we will go by the established land approval mechanism. Publicly funded universities, University of Applied Sciences, will take forward this initiative together. Well, I believe a school will have to take into account its own fiscal position if it is going to apply for all 3 parcels of land. Thank you.
Next one. I have a question for Mr. Sun. The FS told the LegCo in an answer to members' questions something, and some members were dissatisfied with the cut in social welfare expenditure. How would you respond to that? And then the FS also said that if there are specific needs, the LWB will think of ways to helping the organizations. How would you do that? Now, for the $2 concession fee and come the 80% discount, it is said that it will be implemented in April this year. But we are close to April, and we don't see anything being mentioned. So are you making preparation for the concession scheme to be implemented? Which organization are you from? Cable TV. Thank you for your question. A total of 3 questions. First is about the expenditure on welfare, social welfare. The FS, in last year's budget, has talked about the productivity enhancement program, which applies to all government expenditure. The lump sum grant for social welfare organization also comes from the government. So that's why we have to follow the fiscal discipline as set out by the FS. So we have to work on it. And last year we have done a lot to help the 179 subvented social welfare organizations so that we can make the best use of resources. There are several key projects. First is in relation to small and medium-sized organizations, which make up a majority of all the organizations. In total, we have to cut 7% of our expenditure. The SWD has thought of ways and means, and ultimately we are showing 4% of the cut, which means that the small and medium-sized organizations have to shoulder only 3% of the reduction. For large-scale organizations, they have to think hard to make the best use of their productivity to achieve the 7% productivity gain. And at the same time, we are helping organizations to make the best use of resources, say through administrative streamlining and making the best use of the reserves, use them flexibly, and we also remove restrictions. We are already doing that, and we are also closely cooperating with the social welfare organizations. Now, if they apply for funding from other departments, and they have to share some of the costs. Now, we are very clear about that. If you are applying for dedicated funding from other government departments, so there is no question of cost apportionment now. So that has helped a number of organizations already. You must be talking about Reverend Peter Kuhn. I met with him because that was his spring dinner of the Hong Kong Council of Social Services. We are good friends, and I've talked to him on that occasion. And we have 2 social welfare representatives on the LegCo, Reverend Peter Kuhn and Ms. Chen Wen-Chai, and they are, and we will put our heads together. And the government funding takes up a large proportion of the funding of the NGOs, and many NGOs are also raising their own funds, and they have different sources of income. So can we do more in removing barriers and restrictions in government procedures so that they can help more their service recipients. And then you also mentioned about the $2 concession fare or the 80% discount fare subsidy. Well, last year we talked the same. That was raised in the last year's budget. So the $2 concession will be turned into $2 into 80% discount arrangement. So for fare below $10, it will still be $2. But for fare above $10, then there will be 80% discount. I.e., for $20, it will be paying $4. So that will be implemented in April this year. And we are almost done with our preparatory work. And at appropriate time and occasion, we will make the relevant announcement. And we will suggest that it be implemented in April. We will tread carefully because a number of octopus machines are involved, and we must ensure that all systems and all devices will be adjusted accurately before we implement the program. And in the past year, we have worked full steam on this project, and we have already done all the adjustment work, and we are in the last leg of our program, and we will be making the detailed announcement at an appropriate time. The next one, the lady in the vest in the middle. I'm from Wenwei Pao. Mr. Sun, or Ms. Choi, rather, Dr. Choi. $500 million will be earmarked for school-based AI programs. What about the remaining amount? Where will it be used? And what are your considerations? The EDB said that it will announce the digital education blueprint for secondary and primary schools. When will that be done? And also the budget mentions that you will encourage institutions to offer high-value study tours. Are there institutions which are now working on this? Thank you. On your first question, we are earmarking $2 billion to support primary and secondary education to embark on digital education transformation, of which $500 million will be open for application by primary and secondary schools to launch skill-based AI programs, and each school will get $500,000. And 99% of all schools in Hong Kong have already made an application. As for the $1.5 billion remaining, we know that the key to driving transformation lies in teachers. So some part of it will be used for teacher training. And as I mentioned, 40,000 places will be offered in teacher training. We will ensure that all teachers in Hong Kong will have the chance to receive training on digital education and AI. And there will also be targeted measures for different subjects and different positions in the schools. Say, for example, there will be also training on AI leadership. I think the platform also matters a lot. So we will also be earmarking certain portion of the budget to roll out such digital education platform, and also infrastructure needs money. So the $1.5 billion will be expended on these fronts to expedite our digital education transformation and to accelerate the implementation of AI programs in the schools to equip our students to meet the challenges in AI. Now, as for the AI digital education blueprint for primary education and secondary schools, and we have set up a dedicated steering committee to work on it, and they have already mapped out the direction and the key aspects of this blueprint. The initial draft has already been prepared, and we envisage that within this year we will be announcing this blueprint, and we are looking forward to it. And we also emphasize that AI literacy for students is also important, also the ethics aspect, and also the teachers. The AI application in learning and teaching are also important. And I will run through all, say, the management and the campus and so on. So the blueprint will set out all these clearly. We will be highlighting the key focuses and our strategies. Now, as for study tour in Hong Kong and also the relevant and the study in Hong Kong brand, and different universities, they have their own unique characteristics, and we don't require the universities to report to us. But for this, for the ongoing conference, education conference in Hong Kong now, this is an important education forum worldwide, and at this conference, universities will be promoting their own projects. And for Hong Kong, in terms of AI and AI application, I think Hong Kong is an attractive place for people to come to start their projects. And I know that some universities will also embark on study tours in Hong Kong projects. And also, there are also programs, experiential programs in relation to finance to be offered by universities. All these are in the pipeline.
In the interest of time, the last two questions, please. The reporter in front. Good afternoon. I'm from News. I'd like to ask Dr. Choi, how is the Education Bureau going to dovetail with the 15th five-year plan? How are you going to harness artificial intelligence to develop Hong Kong, to develop our country in a leading country in education? Thank you. As I already said in my opening speech, we need to dovetail with the 15th five-year plan. We need to contribute to our country. Digital transformation is indeed one of the focuses. In the budget speech this year, secondary schools, primary schools, VPET, university education, all these are covered under the budget. There are measures targeting these areas. Say for secondary and primary schools, there are $2 billion to take forward the digital transformation for education in Hong Kong. When it comes to VPET, we have required all higher diploma programs in the VTC to include AI application in the compulsory modules on information technology. The aim is to equip our students with basic computer and AI literacy. As for undergraduate programs at university, we request that AI-related programs and STEAM-related programs should be given priority to be included in the studies subsidy scheme for designated professions or sectors. We also require that at least 35% of the programs at university need to be related to STEAM. In the coming 3 years, universities will create 30 programs in relation to AI or STEAM. This shows that we attach much importance to the national goal of developing our country into a leading one in education in accordance with the 15th five-year plan. Thank you. The one in the last row, the one on the right. Thank you. I'm from Commercial Radio. I'd like to ask Dr. Choi first. In the budget last year, the student grant of $2,500 was axed. There isn't any mention in this year's budget. What is the reason for this? Do we need to assess the current situation in Hong Kong? As for the AI for all training involving an amount of $50 million, do you have any details? What is the ratio? Would it be spent on corporate training, seminars? What are the details? Can you share with us? I'd like to ask Mr. Sun. In the budget this year, there is no further financial commitment to talent admission schemes. Is it because fewer people are applying for extension? Do we still have sufficient resources? Do we still need to increase resources in this regard? Thank you. Dr. Choi, please. Regarding the student grant, we already explained it last year. In education expenses, we want to focus on the high-quality development of education in Hong Kong. As for the student grant, there wasn't any criterion. All students could receive this grant. However, if we want to provide targeted support, especially in the face of a fiscal deficit, we do need to pull our resources into the most needed in Hong Kong. 8% of the education expenses is spent on subsidies and allowances for students that include transportation, textbooks, meals, and so on. That is why going forward, when we need to improve the use of resources, we will still have to focus on improving the high-quality education in Hong Kong. In addition, we also need to focus on helping the students that need the resources the most. As for the AI for all training, totaling $50 million, Professor Sun already explained in the press conference yesterday. Some reporters also asked about AI training. We have relevant measures at different levels, secondary schools, primary schools, and kindergarten. We help teachers to improve their AI literacy as well as AI ethics training. That's why all these have been included in our education planning. And in all of the higher diploma programs of the VTC, we already require AI application be included in the compulsory modules on information technology. This shows all policy bureaus within the government are working full steam ahead to dovetail with the 15th five-year plan of our country. Thank you. Mr. Sun, thank you for your questions. We attract talent from overseas by way of policies. We make good use of the institutional strengths of Hong Kong. That is exactly how we attract global talent to Hong Kong. It is not the case that we must pull resources into attracting talent. From the end of 2022 to now, we have been attracting talent through different schemes, such as the Top Talent Pass scheme, that is TTPS. We also have been making enhancements to our TTPS and as well as other talent admission schemes. We don't need many resources. We have already established Hong Kong Talent Engage. There are about 30 people or so responsible for this area. Their expenditure is under the purview of the Labour and Welfare Bureau. We do not need to ask for additional resources. We already increased the amount of visa and permit targeting talent admission schemes last year. We have requested the new application fee, and all these will generate revenue for the public coffers in Hong Kong. This is exactly how we can continue to develop Hong Kong into a hub for high-caliber talent. Thank you. That is the end of the press conference today. Thank you.
錄音筆測試1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。錄音筆測試1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。無線咪測試1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。無線咪測試1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。無線咪測試1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。Hello, 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 mic testing 1 2 3。
testing。 Welcome to today's press conference. Let me introduce the speakers. We have Ms. Bernadette Lin, Secretary for Development, and two permanent secretaries of the Bureau. They are Ms. Doris Ho, in charge of Planning and Lands, and Mr. Ricky Lau, in charge of Works. The Secretary will first use a PowerPoint to present the initiatives. Okay, now, photo call. After the presentation, the floor will be open for questions. Thank you. Secretary, please. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about budget initiatives under the Development Bureau in relation to a number of funding allocation projects as well as the land sales program for the coming year. First, a topic that is close to the community and the government, that is building maintenance and repair. In order to lower the risk of bid rigging, last month we have announced that we worked with the URA to launch an enhanced smart tender to help owners and management companies to engage contractors to undertake the work. Allow me if I repeat some details. The enhanced smart tender covers three areas. First, to prepare a pre-approved list that is stringently formulated. Secondly, there will be a dedicated team from the URA to help owners and consultants to select contractors in relation to some projects. If there are important areas, say for example, major change in the scope of works or major change in prices, a report will have to be made to the URA so that there is a chance for them to provide independent advice to the owners. There is positive response to these proposed enhancements. We will make sure that the URA has sufficient resources to launch the enhanced smart tender. This is a service provided by a fee. We don't want to dampen the incentive for owners to participate because of the increased fees. We want to make use of the budget to give communities a peace of mind. There will be about $3 million allocated under the budget to the tender. $100 million will be dedicated to the setting up of the URA dedicated team as starting capital. The $200 million will be provided to property owners as a subsidy to use a smart tender. That shows our commitment to encouraging owners to use smart tender. It also puts us in a better position to implement the details. Our plan is that in May we will report the enhanced smart tender details to the panel on development. We will consult stakeholders. In the second half of the year, the enhanced version will be launched. I now turn to Operation Building Right OBB 2.0. You may recall that it was launched in July 2018. We have devoted to $6.7 billion to subsidize owners to undertake maintenance work. So far, out of the $6.7 billion, nearly all of it has been allocated through approved projects. Owners maintaining their properties properly will lengthen the lifespan of the buildings, so it's worth doing it. The government is of the view that it is of importance to provide continuous subsidy under OBB. Hence, we will allocate $3 billion to the scheme. We are taking stock of our experience, analyzing data, we want the $3 billion to provide more targeted assistance to targeted buildings. We'll complete the review at the beginning of next year. Then we will consult the panel on development of the LegCo. The new OBB subsidy scheme will be launched only after we have obtained funding approval from LegCo next year. Another project that is related to maintenance is the lift modernizing subsidy scheme, launched also in 2018 to help owners of residential buildings to replace old lifts or to renovate them. The initial $4.5 billion was only enough to cover 6,200 lifts. There are still 1,200 lifts waiting to get support. The government will earmark $1 billion to extend the scheme to enhance protection and to alleviate the burden of the commitment under the scheme. And I'll turn to a different topic, that is the government land sale list in the coming year, 26 to 27. As you can see here, there are 9 sites, residential sites, estimated to be able to provide 6,650 units. 3 of them are in Hongshui-Kyu Ha-Chun New Development Area, large-scale development disposal. You may recall that in October last year, we started the tender exercise. The 3 sites will churn out 3,120 units. The tender process is in progress. You may ask why it goes towards the supply next year. We have considered this, given the long tender exercise, that is 6 months, from the deadline of the tender to when the flats are produced, it will be within 2026 and 27. Hence, they are included in this year. There are 3 other sites that are rolled over sites from 2025 and 26. They are from Stanley, Tongchong, and Sai Kung. That is those sites with an asterisk on the slide. The remaining 3 are newly added residential sites. They are at Ho Man Tin, Shat Mun in Sha Tin, and Shat Mun in Sha Tin. They are of medium and small scale. They are almost spade ready, originally planned for commercial or GIC, government institution, and community facilities. We will make use of rezoning to turn them into residential sites. Considering the high vacancy in commercial sites, in addition to the current and future demand and supply, the Financial Secretary said that there will not be any general commercial sites made available for sale in the coming year. But still, we will continue to review the situation to see if we would like to turn these commercial sites into residential sites or other sites more flexibly. There are 3 sites in Tongchong, Kai Tak, and Sha Tin. We've asked interested parties to give us expressions of interest to turn them into university hostels. Subject to the response, we may launch 1 site or more for such purpose, that is, dormitory purpose. There is a site in Hongshui-Kyu Ha-Chun. We will launch a tender exercise. There are residential sites as well as industrial parks available. The latter account for about 280,000 square meters. In the coming few years, there will be more industry sites in the northern metropolis. There are sites that is under the dedicated companies or sites that these companies are working in conjunction with private companies.
So in the next financial year, considering all the supply, how many private housing land supply will there be in total? On this slide, you will see all the different sources. Considering all the sources that I've covered, including the 9 sites from government land sale list, railway property, project of urban renewal authority, as well as private development, we estimate that the potential supply can cover a total of 22,580 units. About 70%, that's 1,500 of them, is initiated by the government or coordinated by the government. So for the government-initiated projects include the 9 sites that I just covered. For the others that are coordinated by the government include projects that are offered by the railway property as well as projects of URA. We hope that the majority of government involvement can show that our capability in leading the private housing land supply. As mentioned in the speech of the budget, in the coming 5 years, we will prepare for about 98,000 units. If we are calculating the units, about over 50% will be coming from Northern Metropolis. We want to first prepare the land supply. However, we also want to retain our flexibility. After considering all external factors, we will roll out the land supply in phase. This is also a sign of our capability in leading the development of private housing land supply. So looking at the land sale list in the first quarter of the next financial year, well, since this is already the end of February, usually at this time of the year, I will also explain to you the site for sale in April to June 2026. In our plan, we are going to roll out the Area 106A in Chongqing New Territories. It will be providing 990 units. We will also estimate that it is in proximity of Chongqing East Station, which will be completed in 2029. There is no requirements of providing government facilities. Nearby this site, there is also another land that is sold in 2025. I believe that there is certain interest from the market towards this piece of land. In the first quarter, MTRCL is also considering to launch the package 2 of Chenmun 816 station. This project is rather large in scale. It will provide about 5,500 units. Such huge scale because this is a shopping mall underneath the residential areas, and they hope that it will be developed by one development group to ensure its integrity. As I understand, before MTRCL has made up their mind, they will consult the industry. Well, let's say MTRC is going to roll out the supply. We expect that there will be 6,675 units in supply, including the Chongqing land, the land provided by MTRC, as well as one amendment project, which will provide about 175 units. As you are aware, we have 9 lots in the land sale list. Among them, 3 comes from Hongshui-Q, that is in the Northern Metropolis. Actually, the new development area, Hongshui-Q, is developing at full steam. As released by FS, we are going to apply for 10 billion of initial capital from the LAGCO to inject into the development of the Hongshui-Q Industry Park Company Limited. It will support the initial works as well as the capital expenditure of its infrastructure. Regarding the Industry Park Company, we hope that by mid this year it can operate fully. We plan that in the second quarter, that is around April and May, we want to apply for the injections of funds from Legislative Council. Meanwhile, we are also preparing other works, including the hiring of CEO. We are also going to appoint the board of directors. At the same time, we will also apply for rezoning from URA so that the 23 hectares will have even higher flexibility. Previously approved by our Executive Council, the 23 hectares land is already being appropriated to the park company for a period of 5 years. At the Northern Metropolis, we will also set up a Northern Metropolis Urban Rural Integration Fund. As mentioned in the budget, we will apply for a 200 million from the LegCo for this purpose. As we are developing Northern Metropolis, we also want to make the most of the rural area in order to inject energy in this area. First of all, we hope that the Northern Metropolis can be full of charisma in order to attract citizens and enterprises alike. Second, we want to increase tourist spots for both local and overseas tourists alike. We also hope that the residents in the Northern Metropolis can also enjoy the benefits of its development. We have to make use of community wisdom and to focus on villagers' participation. We will support the hardware upgrade, including some improvement works in the rural area, some fixing of road surface, and we might also provide some starting capital for certain projects. Since we are talking about urban-rural integration projects, actually there is not just funding that we are providing. We have a set of strategies in play. We are putting together a guidelines. For example, we will relax the use of the village house. They can be refitted into restaurants or even lodges. We also want to include certain sewage collection system in order to improve the overall area. In our plan, by mid this year, the overall plan as well as the 200 million fund will be in specifics, and we will submit it to the panel on development of LegCo. And then we will apply for the budget in order to set up this fund. As we are investing heavily in infrastructure in order to improve the well-being of the society, we also have to enhance the productivity of construction industry and to reduce construction cost. We would like to train up professional talents for the industry as well. There are a number of measures related to this purpose. First of all, we will allocate 65 million Hong Kong dollars to provide additional government-funded training places so that more graduates can join related government departments. On one hand, they can secure a job. On the other hand, they can also accumulate experiences for professional qualifications. We also plan to inject an additional 1 billion into the Construction, Innovation and Technology Fund, together with an additional 0.4 billion contributed by the Construction Industry Council, marking a total of 1.4 billion to continue promoting wide adoption of innovative technology, including robotics and other new technologies, as well as the organization of training programs. There is also an allocation of an additional 100 million for commissioning the Building Technology Research Institute that is fully owned by the government to start a number of research, including the reviewing of construction standards and the expansion of the AI application.
Lastly, I'd like to talk about Build Heritage Conservation Fund. Over the years, we have injected $3.6 billion into the fund. So far, over $3.4 billion has been allocated to various applications. We propose to inject $1 billion into the fund to continue the work. Of the $1 billion, 700 million will be used on the revitalizing historic buildings through partnership scheme. So far, under the scheme, there are 24 projects that have been launched. The additional fund will allow us to implement more projects. We reckon that there will be at least one new project being undertaken this year. The other $300 million will be allocated to three schemes. One of them is the financial assistance for maintenance scheme on built heritage for owners and tenants to use the fund for maintenance and repair when they use the built heritage. I will now answer questions. Please raise your hand and identify yourself. Any questions? The lady at the back. I'm from TMHK. The first question. On the sales list, there are 9 residential sites, including ERA sites, NTR sites, private sites. So potential supply is 22,000 or so. There is a 60% increase year on year. How do you assess the extent of recovery of the property market? For other sites, say Hong Kong Island and Kowloon, outside the northern metropolis, the supply is low. How do you assess the proportion of land supply from northern metropolis and other areas? The first question is about the property market. We can all see that is recovering. The number of transactions is stabilizing and inching towards an increase. In recent days, we have fetched reasonable prices for residential sites. We see that the property market is improving steadily. The 9 sites, together with other supply in the plan for the coming year, there will be a production of 22,000 units and more. We have been exceeding our targets every year. The next annual target is about 12,500 units. But every year we will give ourselves some elbow room. There are available residential sites owned by the government that can be used. But as the FS said, private residential sites come from different sources. Some are redeveloped sites. We keep track of the supply of these different sources, and we flexibly use residential sites we own to ensure a stable supply in the market. In relation to your second question, we have sites available to churn out 9,800 units in the coming 5 years. Over half of them comes from the northern metropolis. It's only natural. The northern metropolis is a new development area and a new growth engine. Naturally, there will be more housing land being produced. In the urban areas, there is already a high population density. Even with redevelopment, the site may not be able to churn out the same amount of units given the population density. So we need to make use of the northern metropolis. 20% of the supply comes from Siu Ho Wan and Tung Chung on Lantau Island. The rest comes from the urban area, but the percentage is low. The urban area, as the name suggests, has already been developed. The sites are reserved for commercial use or GIC uses. We will rezone them. Next question. The reporter with glasses. I'm from Mingpao. I would like to ask about the smart tender. I understand that there is a subsidiary company that will work as a dedicated team under the URA. What is this a term of reference? The start capital of 100 million is not a big amount. How long will it last? What is the annual operating cost of this subsidiary? The URA has been operating at a loss, so they are watching every dollar very carefully. If it is self-financing, do you think that the subsidiary will be a burden to the URA? Will it drag the other development projects of the URA? If that is the case, will you continue to fund this subsidiary company? You said that there will be assistance given to owners to issue and assess a tender. Are there any criteria? The government will be involved. You expect the quality to be enhanced. Have you taken into consideration the affordability of the owners? Are there any monitoring of the process to ensure fairness? The independent committee of the Wang Fuk fire will start the evidential hearing soon. Who will the government send? What will be their ranks? What role do they play in Wang Fuk court? If I have jotted down your questions correctly, I think there are 5. First, an injection to the URA as starting capital of $100 million and another $200 million to URA to provide a more affordable service. You ask whether that is sufficient. First, you must understand that smart tender is a service that charges a fee. Service is provided for assistance to be provided to issue and assess tender. It will continue to be a fee-paying service. The URA will continue to operate as self-financing. We think that at this stage, $100 million is sufficient as a starting capital. It will be used for them to set up a dedicated team with a strength of 90 to 100 people. There will be professionals because the issuance and assessment of tender requires professional input. We are still working out the implementation details with the URA. Once we have the specific proposal, the URA will set the fees level. It's understandable that the future fee level will be slightly higher. The current service is simple. In the future, the URA will provide an array of services that includes the formulation and updating of the pre-qualified lists, the assessment and issue of tender at different stages, even after the project has started, and at crucial stages or major changes, input may be required by the URA. We expect an increase in fees level. That's why we come prepared. Owners don't have to worry. There will be a high level of subsidy. Owners enjoyed a highly subsidized service. They pay for about 5 to 50% of the cost. The additional $200 million is to subsidize owners towards the fees. Even with the fee level being raised, with subsidy, the level will be affordable. We need to flesh out the details, and we will make an announcement in around May. You also ask about the criteria of assessment of tender. The URA will be involved in tender assessment, just like the government. They need an assessment criteria of the different stages and the relevant scores. You assess the tender with regard to what's required to be done. Every building is different in their needs and their scopes. Most important thing is that the scale and the needs are taken into account, whether the works are reasonable, whether prices are reasonable. Reference will be drawn from the market of similar projects. We will work out the details. If you think that, well, building maintenance is very expensive, will the owners be able to afford it? The government will devote resources to help. We don't want owners who don't have the means or who find it difficult to afford it to be deterred. We have earmarked $300 million to launch the enhanced service after the review. There will be funding support and technical as well as professional support to owners. We have to make sure that resources will go to owners with the most need. So we use the basis of the rateable value. We believe that expensive or luxurious flats don't need the help of the government. As to how the government will monitor the implementation of the enhanced smart tender, whoever the operator is, whether it is a statutory government, well, as a statutory organization of the government, there is a governance structure within the organization. There will be checks and balances. There will be declaration of interests. Audits, in addition to all that, will be conducted regularly. Your last question is the independent committee and the involvement of the Development Bureau as well as government departments. We fully support the work of the independent committee. Whatever information we're required to provide, if we are required to attend hearings, we will oblige. As to the specific work, we'll leave it to the independent committee.
Next question, the lady with glasses.
Post. As the government is currently evaluating the joint development proposals by private developers, firms, and the government itself, so what are the specific operational details? And particularly regarding the government's participation, what is its roles and also the mechanism used to safeguard private sector investment? And second, the Hong Kong Park is set to official launch by mid-year. So what are the current operational details, specifically about the progress of recruiting the senior management? Any details about that? And third, as the government will establish a firm exclusively for Sentin Technopole, and what are any specific details for it? Any launch timelines and also governance structure? Will it operate will we operate similar to the Hong Kong Park as well? And also, any daily operation details could be mentioned. Thank you.
On your first question, I think you are referring to a paragraph in the budget speech saying that the government would like to encourage landowners with private land to partner with certain business enterprises in order to make use of the private land to support business development. Actually, you may recall that in recent months, the government, through the Development Bureau, has rolled out a number of measures that will facilitate private landowners in Northern Metropolis to make good use of their land to support industry development. These measures include, for example, we allow phased payments of premium for certain sites, and we also allow private landowners to surrender their land, which is supposed to be subject to government land resumption, to offset the premium payable for land exchanges elsewhere in the northern metropolis. We have also allowed what we call the pay for what you build arrangement. That is, if you build a certain industrial development on site, even if it is not up to the maximum permissible gross floor area permitted under the outline zoning plan, we will evaluate the premium based on what you build, subject to certain minimum requirement. So these are all measures encouraging landowners to make good use of the land. What has been announced in the budget speech, I think, is a further message for the landowners that if for individual cases they consider that even these general measures already announced are not sufficient for them to partner with certain enterprises. For example, they may need concession in premium. Then they may speak up, and then the Development Bureau will work with our Invest Hong Kong and the Oasis to bring these cases on a case-by-case basis to a forum chaired by the Financial Secretary to consider whether it is worth our while to offer the special measures. But I cannot be exhaustive here on what special measures we have in mind because it is supposed to be tailor-made. It really depends on what individual enterprises would need to bring them into the northern metropolis. So we are pretty open-minded. But whatever is the case, after it has been finalized, we are a very transparent government. We will make sure that the relevant land grant or the lease document and agreement will be announced publicly. On your second question regarding the progress of the Hong Shui Kiu Park Company, particularly the recruitment of the Chief Executive Officer, the recruitment is still ongoing. And apart from receiving applications, we also have engaged a headhunter to proactively reach out to possible candidates. So the process is ongoing, and we hope that this CEO will be recruited and appointed in time before the park company starts its operation in the middle of this year. As regards your last question about the proposed park company for the Sun Tin Technopole, this is yet another park company proposed by the government, and it will be under the steer of ITIB, our Innovation and Technology Bureau, because the Sun Tin Technopole is specialized in innovation and technology. So I think they will be in a better position to answer your question regarding details of this company.
Next question, the gentleman in suits. Good afternoon. I'm from Economic Times. I can see that in the land sale list, half of them, around 3,000 odds, comes from Hong Shui Kiu. Among the 2,200 units being covered by the Hong Shui Kiu as well as the MTRC project. So they already takes up around 8,000 to 9,000 units. Is it heavily tilted? In case these projects are not successfully launched, will your land launch schedule be disrupted? Apart from the tendering process of Hong Shui Kiu, there are two other trial points. Do you have any timeline for the other two sites? Within this year, would there be any other large-scale area that will be rolled out? Referring to your first question, there are some chunks of land provision. If you look at the Hong Shui Kiu sites, there are 3 sites in total. The 3 sites added together, we will take it as a whole. There is another major project from NTRCL. They are considering it to be rolled at once because they want to see integrity in its development. That is residential area and commercial area as a whole. Considering the market condition as well as the development of Northern Metropolis, we can see the full speed development of NM. It is actually beneficial to us. For the Chinmen site, it is also a project from MTRC. Although they are quite large in scale, they are still very attractive. Of course, we hope to see them succeed. As for the timetable for other land supply, we will have to consider and plan according to a series of factors, as well as the market conditions. The Hongshui Q will stop the tendering process by early July. There are 2 others in Fanling North as well as within Santin Technopole. We hope that there will be at least 1 more that can be rolled out within this year. This is our professional objective. We have to consider the results of Hongshui Q before we make our final decisions, because there are still some land resumption progress going on.
Next question. The Bay Spectacle gentleman.
Latest land sale list includes flats. The number on the 9 sites, it's a lot more than the market expected. So what does it send an immediate signal to the developers and buyers? Secondly, what is your overall outlook for the residential property market for the next 12 to 24 months? Thank you.
On the outlook, I think, as the Financial Secretary has said, our economic prospects actually look good, and we are on the on a rising trend. And the property market has also been on a steady growth, with transactions growing, and also we see ample interest in our recent land sale tenders for residential sites. So we are optimistic about the healthy development of the residential market in the next year. On your first question, you have noticed that we have a sizable pool of flats or of land in our land sale list. I think this reflects the government's continuous efforts in getting ready sufficient land to cater to the needs of the property market. As I have time and again emphasized, what is important is that the government continue with our efforts to get the land ready and be transparent with the kind of land we have in hand. The transparency is important for the property market. Yet, with this transparency, we also make clear that the timing for government to roll out individual sites will be dependent on market situations and the market interest, and also the supply from different sources prevailing at any point in time. So getting ready the land and actually rolling out the land are 2 different aspects. And so you need not worry that with a lot of sites we will roll them out all in one go. That will definitely not be the case.
Next question. The gentleman in the 3rd row. I'm from Hong Kong Economic Journal. In relation to launching the sites for sale, the Chinmen site of the MTRCL is sizable. It has residential and commercial elements. For MTR sites, usually there is one single development in charge of constructing these superstructure, as well as the shopping mall, and then the residential building will be taken up by a different developer. What is the view of the government on this different approach proposed by the MTRCL? In terms of the scale, what are the incentives for the MTRCL to launch this sizable site in one go? Taking into account Hongshui Q, Kai Tak sites, there are many sites from other areas. Why do you think? You said that the property market is looking good. Why not include more sites? There is a site in Wang Kok Road. It's still being in Kate Road. Well, it's still not launched. In relation to the Northern Metropolis, you said that developers will work with different industries such as innovation, technology, or AI. Are there any other ways for the government to work with developers and enterprises to come up with different solutions to enable industries and developers to formulate a good proposal? Your first question is in relation to the MTR site in Tuen Mun. Is expected to produce 5,500 units, which is sizable. Well, that site is in support of a major railway project, so it is a residential plus railway development project. The MTRCL has undertaken a number of railway projects, and these projects will be accelerated as well. I think the MTRCL is of the view that they need to roll the site to finance the projects. The other factor is design. If they can create synergy, there will be benefits. And as to when the site will be launched and whether it will be done part by part, we respect the decision of the MTRCL, which is a listed company. We ask the MTRCL to collect sufficient information from the market before the site is launched. As far as we know that they have sounded out the market once already. They are aware of the market indication. They are confident. That's why they would like to launch the site in the first quarter. But they told us that they would undertake to conduct another sounding exercise. You said that there aren't sites from other areas, but I see that there are choices. In addition to Hong Shui Kiu, there are also 3 sites rolled over from last year. There is one site that is expensive, that is Cape Road in Stanley. In addition, there are also a site in Ho Man Tin and 2 sites in Shek Mun, Sha Tin. So they cover different areas, namely new development areas and rural area and urban areas. And as to which site we include in the list, we think that our view is that we will launch the site in the coming year. But as to exactly when, we will take into account the market situation before we make a decision. About Northern Metropolis, we encourage developers to partner with industries. If the site is zoned as industrial use, if they are owned by developers, that is in private hands, we allow them to develop the site in the best way. We don't just take over. If they come up with a good plan to develop the industrial site, then we will let them do it. In the past, when it comes to land exchange, it's usually commercial or residential site. Now we allowed industrial site as well. We allow pay for what you build. In addition, if the land owned by private developers is zoned as industry use, we allowed 1.5 level development for the site, because for development of industry use, it takes a long time. We allow staged payment in large-scale land. So there are many different options. If developers are interested but don't know what are the interested industries, then the government will help. Oasis and Invest Hong Kong have reached out to enterprises of different industries. These enterprises might not know who own what land, so they will talk to the Development Bureau. We have a very close liaison with these departments. Sometimes we carry out site visits at the Northern Metropolis. We will be happy to continue with our work along this line. We'll be happy to be the matchmaker. If it is deemed that additional arrangements are needed, then the parties are encouraged to speak out. We have mechanisms in place. The FS chairing a number of committees will step in to help.
Good afternoon. I'm from Mingpao. Regarding the estimation of land revenue, I can see that the estimated income is around 18 billion. Well, last year, even when the market is far from ideal, it is still estimated to be at 21 billion. If we look at a period of over 10 years, it will be always higher than the estimation than this year. Since the market is resuming right now, why would you have such an estimation? Every year, as we estimate the land premium income, on one hand, we would consider the number of lots that are being included in the land sale list. Second, by mid-year, we will have a lot of revision of land lease. We will consider the number of cases we have on hand. We will also consider the success rates, because every year we will have land lease modification. We will consider the statistics in order to come up with an estimated land premium income. After considering the number of cases we have as well as the lots available on a land sale list, we will also look into the market conditions. For instance, the price level of the property market. It seems that we have quite a number of lots on our land sale list, but somehow the estimated income is still not that high. It is because the market has just started to resume. Second, as you will see in the future, for example, railway plus property development projects. For projects of this kind, we will allow MTRCL to take away certain funding from land premium payment to support the development. Therefore, for projects of this kind, we will not be able to retrieve the land premium at market value. If there are different land lease modifications and the development of large-scale land, and we allowed phased payment of land premium, all these measures would affect the cash flow of our land premium income. We should not just live in the past, because in the past, in the previous era, we will always have high income generated by land premium. That era has passed. We have to think of different measures to increase our income in order to support our cost for infrastructure, etc. We cannot single-handedly rely on the income from land premium. Any further questions? Last two. The lady on this side as well as that gentleman. Oriental Daily. I would like to ask about our smart tender. As Secretary has mentioned, smart tender is a fee-paying services, and the fee might increase. If you have to pay extra effort, how many % are you estimating to increase? Have you also considered the affordability of the property owner? Would that be sufficient? As fellow journalists have asked, the URA might or might not establish a new company. Would that company still be able to side finance? although this is a fee-paying services, you still have to subsidize the owner. Since the owners are not paying much, then this newly established company by URA might not be able to make a lot of money. Are you expecting to inject funding or any plans in mind to support it to be a self-financing company? I also want to ask about the Urban-Rural Integration Fund. I believe that this fund is mainly focusing on Northern Metropolis. Do you have any specific targets? Are there any villages that you have targeted? Any sites that can be further developed into a popular tourist spot? Do you worry about over tourism? Recently, there are different environmentalists that voice their concerns about the over tourism at certain rural parks. Well, recently there have been concerns about the overloaded of tourists in the Northern Metropolis, especially in the Robin's Nest Park. Well, coming back to your question about the smart tender scheme, I cannot give you our estimation of the increase of fees. At the moment, we are still discussing with URA about the specifications in operation concerning the enhanced smart tender. Let me share with you the fees that we are charging of the existing smart tender. Let me share with you the most expensive fees. Well, actually, the highest fees can be up to 160,000 Hong Kong dollars. However, with the government subsidies, that particular building only has to pay for 80,000 when they join the smart tender program. So if you divide it with 100 or 200 units, then each owner only needs to pay for several hundreds. In the future, when we roll out enhanced smart tender with a higher charge, I still believe that it will be affordable. Second, you also asked about whether or not the 100 million starting capital will be enough for URA. As the name suggests, it is just a starting capital, because we need to provide a basis for it so that we will have a solid foundation to discuss about execution with URA. In the future, we hope that through the fees that they collect, they will be able to become self-financed. If the service is very popular among the owners, or in the future when we see that there are services that need to be enhanced, well, my view is that as long as it is a service that is beneficial to the owners, if this service can reduce the risk of bid rigging, let's say the government has to inject even more funding in the future to this end, we are willing to consider it within a reasonable range. At the end of the day, all that we are doing is to reduce the risk of bid rigging for the property owners. This is the consensus that we have among the society. Finally, you also asked about the Urban-Rural Integration Fund in the Northern Metropolis, and you also asked whether we would have any targeted village. We hope that it will be applied from the grassroots level, including the non-government organization, the village committee, as well as different branches from the university. The application will be about revitalizing certain villages. Therefore, we don't want to target any village when we roll out this plan. As mentioned, there are different parts concerning urban and rural integration. One of the strategic points is to relax the usage of certain village housing so that the whole building can be used for hostel lodging or F&B. We don't want to be a one-off. This is something government-led. We have to facilitate the ruling at the URA. To this end, maybe we will select a number of potential villages. With that list, we will go to the URA and ask for relaxation of regulations. You also asked about over-tourism. You have mentioned about some eco-sensitive areas, including the country parks. This fund is not targeted at those eco-sensitive sites. It is for the 260-odd villages within Northern Metropolis. Many of these villages are not eco-sensitive or conservation-sensitive. After all, there are a certain vibe within these villages. We don't want to turn the rural area into the urban area. Otherwise, there will be nothing for us to integrate. Therefore, we trust that in the future, as we review the application, we will consider very carefully the scope or the extent that they are going to refit the rural area. The final question. Good afternoon. I'm from St. John. Last year, the FS has increased the stamp duty of a property over 100 million. Do you concerns that when you launch land lots that are more expensive? We also see one lot in the Kai Tak Green Smart Mass Rail System. Can you share where exactly is it located? Would it be affected by the revamped stamp duty as well?
You've asked two questions. The first one is the increased stamp duty for high-value properties, whether it will affect land sale. The market for land sale is extensive. There is a niche for medium-price flats and one for expensive flats. We will monitor the market and keep an eye on it. We don't think that won't be any rippling effect. For future supply along railway lines, in addition to the Tuen Mun MTR CL site, there is another one. That is in relation to the smart and green mass transit system in Kai Tak. I believe that the Transport and Logistics Bureau is working on the tender exercise. The Development Bureau may be drafted in to provide assistance. We will, at the right time, provide help. That's the end of the press conference. Thank you.